Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Marcus from Avatarium to talk about an evening with Avatarium out December 4th on Nuclear Blast. How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. I've been doing some interviews already, and I'm very happy about the interest for our live album. So, and now I had a cup of coffee, so I feel perfect. How are you?
Before we talk about your live album, let me ask you: are you a fan of live albums in general?
Depends on, I think it's some, I really liked some of the some older albums. Really kind of got me when I was a kid. Like I loved the Live and Dangerous album with Thin Lizzy, and some of the Deep Purple albums, of course, Live in Europe, Live in Japan. These kind of albums were really important for me, and so I like live albums. And actually, the Motorhead classic, what's called? What's it called? Anyway, the old Motorhead live, that's amazing. When you manage to record a band, find the energy, then it can be amazing. I also liked, the Kiss live albums when I was a kid. So it can be really cool, but it can also be depends on the versions need to be hopefully better than on the original album, at least different.
Yeah, different.
And today there's a lot of bands who are, there's so many people that they work with, the click tracks and backing tracks and all this kind of stuff. So if you listen to their live albums, it just sounds like a little bit duller version of their albums to me. So, but if it's a good band and if there's no click tracks, then it's fun.
So, in your opinion, is that what makes a great live album, or is there something more specific that it would make the difference between just a regular live album and a really amazing live album?
Yeah, I think a great live album really has to have the energy. Like you can feel, the band is really, really into it, and hopefully the crowd as well, and that the versions are different. It's not the same. If it's exactly the same versions, then it gets, kind of why, because you can listen to the originals on the albums anyway. So I think they have to be a little bit different to make it interesting. And that can be it can be, like that's why I talk about the click tracks, because it can be that the song is a little bit faster or it's a little bit slower, or and anything that makes it like stand out from the original.
Yeah, make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now, considering everything that's happening in the world, are we living in an area where we're going to see a resurgence of live albums? Because bands can't tour, you can't play live shows. Live albums is the next best thing.
Maybe hopefully people have a lot of recordings. We have a lot of old recordings as well. Actually, I went through them after we did the last tour. I went through some of the recordings we did, but I just kind of lost interest in it. So I don't know if it's good enough. But it needs to be a good concert, and we were lucky because we did this 2 shows in January. That was supposed to be kind of warm up shows, and then we were supposed to tour now. But we were happy that we managed to do great. That was the live album is the first show on the tour, and wow. We usually you record like the last or in the middle of the tour or something like that. But the reason we recorded it was because some friends of ours wanted to do this. They wanted to try to send, to broadcast it live, like on Facebook or whatever, and they're called Black Box, and that's why we also have everything filmed.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked us, can we come and film the concert? And then when they said that, of course, let's record it as well, like multi-track, if it happens to be a good concert and the venue is beautiful and everything. but we were like, okay, it's probably gonna sound like shit because it's the first, you know, the first
First night,
show.
a lot of
Yeah.
kicks.
Yeah, so it's but maybe because we had that, we didn't care about that it was recorded. Maybe we were like, don't think about it's being recorded because we probably won't be able to use it anyway. And then we didn't listen to it either. But our front engineer, he had the tracks, and he started to listen to it, and he started to make a mix without, we didn't even ask him to do it. And after a while, it was like, I did a mix on one of the songs, and then more and more came. And we were like, sounds nice, you know, it sounds good, you know. So it's like, it's thanks to him, Victor Stenqvist, that made a mix that we have this album actually. And then I went to his studio and we kind of finished it. And but you know, we were a little bit lucky that we managed to do such a great show, actually.
Do you feel like this album is a result of where we are? Like, if everything had gone according to plan and you guys had gone on the road, you start touring in support of the album, would we be seeing this live album now?
Probably not. Probably not, because we would be busy with touring and doing all this other stuff. So and also, but you know, it might have happened because it's just a lucky accident that it was recorded. So, and it was a good show, and the film, the material was also good because the venue is very nice and they had like 5 cameras and stuff. So they did a serious job. So you know, you always want to be able to put out something as a band, you know, for the people who can't see us. There's a lot of people, you know, we have fans like in South America or, you know, North America as well. We haven't been touring in North America either. So it's good for people who live far away. They can be able to kind of catch, you know, what we're doing, see a little bit how we sound live and what we do and what we're about. Because I think when you see a band live, that's when you really, you know, kind of understand what the band is about and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to say. And
it's almost like the live the studio album is just like a calling card. Seeing the band live is, I think, is when you really experience the essence of what the band is all about, musically, and everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, really.
I was going to ask you, what's the most challenging thing about recording a live album? But considering that you recorded this album almost not without knowing, but it was like a second thought.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that takes away pressure? If you guys knew from the beginning that we're going to record this is going to make it to a live album, you think that walking on stage you would have felt differently? The band would have felt differently?
Maybe. I can't, you know, I don't know how the other guys felt, but for me it was like, you know, actually I would say one of the things I kind of learned after a long while as a musician is to not think about cameras, if there is a camera or if it's being recorded. Because when I was younger, it was like, okay, tonight we're recording everything, and all I was thinking about was, okay, I have to play great now, and then I played like shit. You know what I mean? Because you were thinking about, I have to be great. But what I learned like later on is to not think about that. So hopefully I wouldn't have done it anyway. And that's also one of the reasons, you know, why I didn't think about it, because it's the same thing. If there's a camera, I try to just, because I want to be in the presence, you know. We also said that actually, that when we talked about the show, we said, okay, never mind about the cameras, never mind about recordings. We're here to perform for this crowd, and that's what we're going to do. That's everything. That's everything that matters. So, so hopefully we would, you know, think like that, even if it was meant to be like a DVD or a concert movie. But you never know, you know, and sometimes you just have a bad day, you know, that's how it is. Or recordings get shitty. We have a great sound engineer, Victor Stenqvist, again, who he recorded everything, so we didn't have to think about it. You know, he just maybe asked me some questions, you know, about like microphones, whatever. And we talked a little bit about it. And I was like, okay, do this, and so he kind of made that happen. So we're thankful to him, very thankful to him.
So this is the first official live release that you guys put out. Has the overall experience and the response so far been a positive one that would perhaps open the doors for more of this kind of stuff in the future?
Yeah, I think so. It really feels like people like it, and you know, we love to play live. We are that kind of a band that it's like we love to play together. We you know, we're all great friends, and we all have a big respect for each other as musicians. So hopefully we can do a lot more of these kind of things. But you know, and we also, you know, change arrangements and things. And when we are touring, you know, we change things all the time. So next time we record an album, it's going to sound different anyway, even if it would be the same songs.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I want to ask you about this live album. I had the chance to listen to it, and I felt like, you know, it captures the essence of the band. So it captures what you guys have done in the studio, that's captured there. But there's more to it than just that. It's not like I'm listening to an exact replica of the same song played now in front of an audience. I felt like there were some interesting caveats that you guys are throwing in. So when you're putting a set list together for a tour, how much work goes into that set list? Do you guys rework some of the material? Do you what is the thought process for the band?
Yeah, it is. You know, first we try, you know, to imagine, like, okay, you know, you write, okay, what songs do we want to play, and then we try to imagine, you know, the kind of energy in different songs, and how, you know, here we can take it down a little bit, and here we can raise it up again, and here we can pick up speed, or, you know, all these kind of things, and here we can be doomier and slower. So we really try to find, you know, like a good dynamic vibe through the whole set, and then when we rehearse, you also feel, you know, when you rehearse the set, it's like, oh, it kind of feels a little bit weird to have this song here, you know, and so you experiment and you try different things, and also rearrange some songs, like I think, like Medusa Child, we took off the long ending at Medusa Child because we felt this, you know, it's too much. I think we had like Person Coffin's like a few songs earlier, and with a long solo ending, and okay, that's going to be another long ending. It's going to be too much. You know, you try to find a good dynamic and make it flow in a good way. So it's like when you make an album also, it's the same thing, but with live concerts even more, you know, to keep the energy, to keep it interesting for the audience, and keep it interesting for ourselves, and have different things. And that's why one of the things I used to miss when I watched a lot of like hard rock concerts was that a lot of the concert was always like, okay, you start and then it's like full power all the time. And that's why I love to do like this 12-string number when we play My Time of Dying, but only me and Yan, because it gives you an opportunity to breathe a little bit, and then when you play next song, it gets like even more impressive because you come back with the whole band again. And the same thing, like with Rickard and Jan is doing a piano thing, and then we play Moon Horse. You know, it's like I always love this kind of dynamics, but it's because I love, you know, jazz music, and I love metal music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to have a little bit of both. It's to, you know, to keep me on my toes and keep me interested. That's actually what it's all about, and hopefully the audience feels that as well.
Because it's important for you guys to stay interested, stay connected with what you're doing, because that also then translates into what you're doing, into the performance itself, which in the other hand translates to the audience that's seeing you guys. And then you allow yourselves to have a little bit more room to breathe, and you allow yourselves to give a little bit more on any given night. Is that something that, like you said, keeps things fresh for you? The ability that you're not restricted, that this song has to sound exactly this way. I have a little bit more freedom that I can do a few things here and there.
Really, and all of us are like musicians with big ears, you know. So we listened, you know, try to listen to each other and, you know, play together. And it's like, okay, Rickard is doing something on the keyboard, and I'm like, following him, and or I'm playing something and he's following me, you know. And the same thing with drums and bass and everything. So it's like we kind of communicating together, and we also, me and Rickard, actually the keyboard player, actually talked about that when we listened to the concert. We were like, it's amazing how it feels like we've been playing together, this band, for forever, because everybody kind of have this intuition what's gonna happen, you know what I mean? So it's really amazing, and it does. I've played in many different bands with many great musicians, but in this band, it's like we kind of understand each other, you know.
Organic.
No one, yeah. So it's really a special and unique thing, and I'm extremely happy to be in this band, and I, you know, it's really a big privilege. This is the band that I always wanted to have, you know what I mean, like musician wise, and with the songs. And we have, you know, Leif Edling, who started the band with its amazing songs, and now we're writing a lot of music ourselves also, you know, all these things together, the musicians, the songs, you know, Jan's beautiful vocals and powerful vocals. It's like
outstanding
something
on this recording, by the way. Like, that's always one of the things for me that's really important in a live album, is you want to make sure the vocals are in the forefront. You want to hear everything. You want to hear the guitars, you want to hear the drums, the bass, but the vocals play an important role. If you can't hear the vocalist, then it's at that point in time you kind of lose, you know, the essence of what the performance was about. I thought it was spot on. The recording of the vocals on this live album was just outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, she also really she really performed, you know, so well, and the mix is great. And so it's because she's one of these singers, you can put her in, like, because we're quite loud. It's a loud band, and she has so much power, so she can just cut through, you know. She can do that, like, really powerful, and cut, you know. You always hear her vocals because she has so much power, and then she can be so gentle, and, you know, do this really soft, gentle thing. So it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. It's not most singers and musicians, they do either one of them, you know. Either you're very powerful, or you have this great emotional whispering thing. But she can do everything. It's amazing.
I thought that one of the elements from this recording, not just from her but from the whole band, was that the sound, the performance was very warm. There was a warmth to it, and not to say that warmth doesn't exist in the studio records, because it's there, but it just felt different. There was a different atmosphere. There was a different vibe that I felt like you guys really captured on that night. What do you attribute to that? Is it just how you guys play live? Is it a combination of the venue, the crowd, the fans, just all the right stars aligning for that one night that you guys decided by fluke to press record?
Yeah, a little bit like that. So it's but it's also, you know, when you play, something happens when you know, when you play together, and everyone are like listening to each other, and you know, it's hard, you know, it's hard to explain, of course, because I could give you one explanation, and then next night it won't happen. You know what I mean? So these are one of the magic things with music, and when everything works as good as this, then it is magic, and you can't explain it.
Yeah,
because it's like, you know, it's something
in the stars.
Yeah, it's like deeper, and it's almost like a spiritual thing, you know. Like, as I said, like with this connection, when everybody's like doing things together and reacting. And I listen to this when we do this 12 string thing, me and Jan, and only me and her are playing, and we just follow each other without even watching it. We don't even watch each other, I think, and it just works. And we take pauses, and we come back together. It's like, I don't even understand how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just happy that it did work out, and most of the time it does. So, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you have a bad night, of course.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
you know, I'm as a musician, I always like to be this kind of musician that take chances, and I always like these kind of musicians. Like that's why I like the jazz players, maybe like Miles Davis, and but also players like Richie Blackmore. You know, these kind of musicians. They always inspired me, and I always try to be like that. It's like I used to say to the band, that's one of the things. If you didn't play one mistake during the whole concert, then you haven't been playing out full. You know, then you
Yeah.
haven't been doing it like with your full potential, because you need to take chances, and then sometimes if you don't, then most of the times if you're a good musician, things will happen that you can't plan that will be very cool, but sometimes you will fall on your ass as well. But if you're an experienced musician, most of the times you can kind of make something out of that as well.
Yeah. You
uh,
can cover up a little bit.
yeah. So but anyway, it's like so that's what I say to the band. It's like, okay, it's not about not making mistakes. It's about, you know, exploring new things and be creative and be careful, because otherwise it's no use to do it for me.
No, and I think the mistakes is part of the live experience. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to listen to something with no mistakes, you just go home and listen to the CD.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like the whole part of the live experience is not only the connection between the band and the fans, that interaction that exists between them, but also all the other stuff that happens. A note missed here, or a different note played there, or the drums sounding slightly different, a few changes in the
Yeah,
vocals here and there. That's the whole appeal of going to see a band live. I mean, otherwise you
yeah,
just sit at home and listen to the CD.
really. And that's maybe also one of the things where you, as you mentioned, it's if it's kind of like organic or warm or this kind of thing, because you can't like do all these small adjustments all the time. Like in the studio, you're like, okay, let's retune the drums a bit, like blah blah blah. Here's like, okay, this when you hit it, okay, maybe if I hit a little bit like that, sound, you know, you try to work with everything what you have, and
Yeah.
that makes, hopefully brings out some other stuff that might be interesting as well.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
When you look at the set list and when you look at the evening, what song is the most challenging for you guys to pull it off live?
oh, I think all of the songs has the different challenges, but actually maybe that's why I mentioned this 12-string song, In My Time of Dying, because sometimes can be a problem like playing on stage. You know, if me and Jan sits in a room on a chair and just watch each other, then it's no problem. But when you're on a stage and I have a acoustic guitar and she's like somewhere else on stage and I'm somewhere else, it can be a problem sometimes to, you know, to hear, because you do all these small things. I don't know what you do, but you know, maybe you do like a little gesture, you do something with the body that makes the other one understand what's going to happen.
What's
And
going to happen next? Yeah.
yeah, and you, but sometimes on stages it can be hard, like when you don't, because you don't have a drummer that kind of keeps the beat and all this kind of. So I think that one would be the most challenging one actually for me. But when that's why I'm maybe really happy when it works. But but every song has, you know, different uh, challenges, and we also have a lot of different tunings, and you know, so every song has it's, you know, sometimes like we do backing vocals and you want them to glue together, and so there's a lot of different things going on, and everybody in the band has to be on their toes all the time.
Yeah.
So
Everybody's gotta be at their best game. Now,
yeah,
outside of the
exactly.
most challenging song, is there a song that you always look forward to playing? Like when you look at the set list, you're like, can't wait to get to that one because
Yeah,
that one is really special for whatever reason. It may
yeah.
be a special song for you.
One of the songs I really like to play live is "Girl with the Raven Mask," actually, because that song is, I don't know, there's something special with that song, and it also like you just start to play the song and it just goes by itself. You know, it's like it's this kind of song that's like, we just started playing and almost always sound good. It's like it's like it's good to have, like, that's why we keep it like, kind of later in the set to get new energy from that song. So that's actually one of my favorites, and I love the punkish style in the verses, and that's one of my favorite songs, I would say. But there's we're lucky to have a lot of great songs, and I think I like them all like equally, almost, I would say.
That challenge keeps getting harder and harder, because with every album you guys release, there's new material, new great material. So then you have new songs that you have to find room in the set list, and therefore you have to remove some from the set. I mean, that must be a great headache to have, knowing that it's going to have new material to be added.
Yeah, it is in one way, but for us it's been because I think, like, when we had like the 2 first albums, we felt like, okay, we need some different songs for the set list. It's been like the 2 last albums has been one of the reasons for some songs has been like, okay, we need more energy songs, we need more blah blah blah. So on the last 2 albums has actually been a lot of the songs has been like written to fit in the live set,
list,
because the first 2 albums are really, really, almost every song is really slow. Girl with Rain Mask is from the second album. That's a little bit more, but we had that song almost, and then we had Run Killer Run. It was like 2 songs that was a little bit more faster, but we wanted more like little energetic songs and faster songs. So a lot of the songs has been written to fit in the live set. But of course, you have to take other favorites away. It's like Kill Your Babies kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. It must be really hard, because for you to fit like 3 or 4 from the new album, that means you got to remove 3 or 4 that have a soft spot there. You know what I mean? You can't keep increasing the set list to the point where you're playing for 3 hours.
No. And there's always going to be some people who's like, oh, we want to hear that song, we're going to hear that, or some, But for me, I'm just happy to be in a band where it's like every song I play, I really love. That's an amazing experience, because that's not always the case. When you play with bands. So,
that is very true.
Okay, I need to keep a little eye on the time here, because I think I have another interview.
I only have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And that question is, it's been almost a year since you guys played this show, and now there's no opportunities to play shows or tours because of what's happening. What's the thing that you miss the most about being on stage and performing?
It's totally, the contact with the audience. That's like, and then I think it's very obvious when you look at all these live streams and everything, that it's a show without an audience is not the same thing. So it's this interaction between the band and the audience, and that's what makes a lot of the magic, I would say. People don't have to be like jumping around all the time, but you can feel in a when you're in a club or whatever, the energy. Everybody can stand still, but the energy when everybody's having total attention to what's happening on stage, it's like when you have that thing, and of course when people are screaming and all that kind of stuff, it's amazing as well. But when you feel that energy, it's like everybody's totally into, the band is totally in, the audience is totally in. That's such an amazing feeling. That's like also like kind of spiritual thing to me. It's like above, there's some kind of energy that is amazing. And so I really miss that. And I don't miss the dressing rooms that much.
Or the bus.
Or the bus. I actually kind of like, being in the bus, like, when you did a great show, and you kind of, I usually like to drink like a little red wine and that kind of stuff, and kind of listen to music or talk to the guys in the band, have a nice chat, drink a little red wine, good red wine, whatever you want to do, and then like kind of go to bed. I kind of enjoy the bus, actually. It's okay with me.
Well, Marcus, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know you have a busy schedule, so thank you very much. Best of luck with this release. An Evening with Avatarium, out December 4th on Nuclear Blast. Go pick it up. It's a great live album, great performance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It's my privilege, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.